We currently live in a musical world with a bunch of 90s influence. It seems like nowadays a lot of bands borrow from that 90s era, and this has always happened, but more so during our time now. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about modern bands and 90s bands that they remind me of. I honestly don't know what to title this video because I don't know. I just know I want to talk about modern bands and find the equivalent in a 90s band, see what they sound like, stuff like that. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I've been trying to do this intro for 30 minutes. Hopefully the title is good and you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be talking about modern bands that remind me of certain 90s bands, and it's just going to be a little bit of fun. I'm not saying that these bands are unoriginal or anything like that. There's some influences in there with some of the bands, and I just want to tell you guys what I think from my point of view. Before I get into the video though, please like and subscribe. That would help me out a bunch. And if you want to click that bell notification, please do so. It'll let you know whenever I post a new video, and you'll be up to date on Dumptoes videos, music videos. So yeah, do that if you want. There's a lot of bands on here that I find very enjoyable, and I know some of you guys find enjoyable as well. And if you don't know the bands, totally understand, but you're going to know the 90s band equivalent or bands that they remind me of. So let's begin with the band Narrowhead. And let me tell you, they remind me a lot of Deftones. And I made a video specifically on this with a horrible thumbnail many months ago or something like that, when I first started posting on YouTube consistently. I hear a lot of fans and a lot of people that listen to Narrowhead really like to say that Deftones is kind of what they sound like, but to me, I get a little bit more of the Helmet vibe in terms of their riffs, in terms of everything instrumentally, really. But I guess Deftones is the easy thing to say because there's some vocal twang in there that you can hear in Deftones and Narrowhead, a little bit of similarities. So I guess that's always the easy comparison whenever you talk about Narrowhead. But being compared to Deftones isn't a bad thing whatsoever. So I think they sound like Deftones in some ways. A little bit of mixture with Helmet, like I just said. I know a live aspect is very important whenever you're compared to a band like Deftones, and Narrowhead has a very loud and abrasive live presence because, I don't know, I've been there a bunch of times, so I'm giving you guys firsthand experience and detailization. I already made a video on this, so I probably won't talk about it too much, and I talk about Narrowhead all the time, talk about Deftones all the time, and it's just good to see a band get some sort of comparison like that. But I feel like Narrowhead is in their own lane. They kind of make their own music, and yeah, I don't really like comparing too much, even though that's the whole point of this video. But it's just for fun. It's for poops and giggles, I guess. Okay, the next band on my list is shoegaze sensation, up-and-coming shoegaze band Glixen, and they remind me a lot of My Bloody Valentine. And this is really another thing like Deftones and Narrowhead. It's kind of an easy comparison. Whenever you listen to Glixen, you kind of get that My Bloody Valentine vibe throughout the whole thing, instrumental wise. And I've seen Glixen live, and the thing about My Bloody Valentine is you always hear about stories, and these stories contain detailizations of how they are very loud live, and you need earplugs, you need all this stuff. You hear that all the time whenever people talk about My Bloody Valentine. And Glixen, I don't think I needed earplugs or anything like that, but they were really loud when I look back at it and think about that moment when I was in there, in that crowd. I've mentioned that before as well, but for the people that don't know, they're very loud. And if you go watch them, that's kind of the first thing I took. And maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe I got sensitive ears or something like that, but they were extremely powerful. And that is something you don't really think would happen when you look at the band. And that seems kind of whack, but that's kind of my point of view, and that's what I was thinking in my brain in the moment when I saw them. The interesting thing for me and Glixen is obviously they're a newer band, so they don't have that much material out right now, but they have great songs, and I'm really excited to see what they have moving forward in terms of their songwriting and their vocals and stuff like that, because when you listen to the band, it will get swept under the rug, kinda. Not in a bad way or anything like that. It just feels like everything in the noise, in the soundscape, is just one. And that's not a bad thing, but that's just a point. And obviously there's a bunch of bands everywhere right now that are influenced by My Bloody Valentine. There's a lot of different sounds within Glixen, not just My Bloody Valentine, but if I had to make a equivalent or comparison or find a similar band like My Bloody Valentine, I would pick Glixen. The next band on my list is not really a band, it's actually an artist, and this is the artist Greg Mendez. And Greg Mendez reminds me a lot of Elliott Smith and a little bit of Alex G, but obviously Alex G isn't from the 90s or whatever. And listening to Greg Mendez, it's just a wonderful time. It kind of feels like very intimate and very just like, I don't know, like he's just singing to you about all these emotions and these stories that are very relatable sometimes. And sometimes you don't know what's going on, but that's the beauty in music, I guess. There's just pretty sounds being made and your brain's like, oh, I like this. This is kind of what I get with Greg Mendez and Elliott Smith in some sort of way. And Elliott Smith did have some electric guitar and stuff like that, but for the most part, I just hear a bunch of acoustic stuff with Greg Mendez and a bunch of great music being put out to this day. A bunch of banger after banger, really. The next band I'm going to talk about, we're kind of staying in this shoegaze type of realm, and I want to talk about the band Glare. And Glare reminds me of Slowdive. The world we also live in is very dominated in terms of the new gaze or the grunge gaze type of sound, and it's all over right now, but Glare tends to stay in that OG realm. And what I mean by that is OG shoegaze, man. They kind of sound like that, and there's a lot of waviness going on, a lot of echolocation going on. And that's what I love about this band, man. They kind of just ignore everything that's going on right now and stick to what they like. And whatever they do moving forward, I wouldn't be mad at them if they transitioned into a more heavier riff-centered sound with shoegaze, but they do remind me a ton of Slowdive, and not necessarily their Souvlaki album era, more of the Just for a Day album era in terms of that darker shoegaze sound. That's what they remind me of, and it's a fun sound to listen to whenever you're just in the need for some shoegaze, and especially newer shoegaze. And man, they tap into that world and they go crazy. So this band is very amazing. They already had crazy opportunities lining up. I believe they're doing Sick New World #2. Yeah, man, a lot of people are gravitating towards this band and sound, obviously, but they're kind of just doing their own thing, and that's what I love about this band. Next band on my list is the band Mama. And this band reminds me a lot of Veruca Salt. And you guys know I'm a big Veruca Salt guy. Love Veruca Salt. Bunch of Veruca Salt band tees. That is my band. I don't know, I just love the vocals and stuff like that. And Mama, bro, sounds kind of almost really similar, but they're still their own band. They're not like ripping off Veruca Salt or anything like that. But I hear that in a mixture of the Breeders, but mainly Veruca Salt within Mama. And yeah, man, they have some albums out where they just go crazy, and I love the storytelling. I love how unified the band is, and the production on most of their albums are very top tier as well. So you're getting that crispy, clear sounding stuff, and yeah, man, fun riffs in there as well. A 90s influenced band, and heavy on the Breeders, heavy on the Veruca Salt type of sound, and I don't blame them for that because those are great bands. Those are some of the biggest bands from the 90s, and a lot of people should show them respect as well. Shout out Mama and Veruca Salt. The next band, and I think final band from this video and comparison thing, whatever I'm going to call this, I'm going to talk about Pretty Sick, and they remind me a lot of the band Hole. And the thing about Pretty Sick is they have a lot of 90s sounds within them. There's some like Sonic Youth, some Smashing Pumpkins, some Hole, but mainly Hole I take from the whole band. And probably just because of the vocals reminds me so much of Courtney Love. And a lot of people will find that negative, but I enjoy Hole and I enjoy the vocals from both bands. So Pretty Sick and Hole, fire. I guess the similarity comes from the vocals, like I said, but there's just some grit within Courtney Love's vocals, and I can hear that as well within Pretty Sick's vocals. So that's kind of where the whole comparison comes from to me, for me. And yeah, man, that's pretty much the whole video. I know this video seemed a little bit rushed, or I kept talking really fast and stuff like that, but my lovely Alexa's next to me and I got really nervous, so I just started speaking really, really fast. And I wanted to finish this within like a 20-minute time frame because my camera is stupid and doesn't let me record more than 20 minutes. So I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you guys enjoyed this confusing title, but hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Modern bands, 90s bands, trying to get the same vibe. That's pretty much the whole point of this video. It was just for fun. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know a band right now that's popping off or doing something, I don't know, that sounds like a 90s band. Obviously, influences are a thing. And yeah, man, music is music. Music is amazing right now. I feel like a bunch of bands are going crazy, and that's very enjoyable for a music enjoyer. Please like and subscribe. Keep the music alive. Modern bands with a 90s vibe.